When you're leaving it all on the field, when your life's your last chance, when you gotta break to survive and a dancing sports. Teams put all in the team is your last chances, but you know it's Sports Channel. Sports Channel. Hey. Hey. Hey.
It is Sports Channel 8, the streaming show, all up in your earwaves on a Monday morning. One of these times I'm going to nail the theme song perfectly. Play the right song on time without playing the theme song on top of itself, but we're not quite there yet. We're only in streaming show 4 here. So Josh Goodson, Ben Swain, the Weather Moose joining us. We are Sports Channel 8, the streaming, brought to you by Movement Mortgage, the one and only place to get your mortgage done. Yes, the song gets me hyped too. It does. Dave Schwinker's a big music fan, so I trust him on that. And Goodson, did I hear today is last day to get a good mortgage deal through Movement? I mean,
no.
A certain special deal. Let me just screw it up totally. What were you promoting earlier?
No, here's the funny thing about mortgage companies. I'll do a little rant. We all sell the same stuff, right? There's a million mortgage companies. It's kind of like there's a million realtors. They all do the same thing. For the last 3 or 4 weeks or so, we've essentially offered a slightly more better than market rate for refinances, just trying to help people out on that front. And I think we're just going to become average tomorrow.
Okay. All right. It reminds me of, I used to talk to somebody at the Greenville bar scene where it was just ridiculous, where everybody charged whatever it was, like $2 for a Bud Light. And
right.
Like you were just, it was just, that was standard. You just knew, we all agreed we're not going lower than a Bud Light. But every now and then for like a weekend, somebody would be like, yo, $1 Bud Lights this weekend, so that everyone would come there.
Exactly.
Like,
that's essentially what we've done the last couple of weeks.
You guys have been selling $1 Bud Lights. Everyone in the industry is mad at you, and now you're about to go back to normal. So, while I am sharing this on Facebook to make people can watch us, remember you can always watch us on Facebook and YouTube where you can interact. Twitter, where we always have fun. We can't really see your comments there. And you can listen to us now on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, a great radio station out there in the Triad. Our man Dez reached out as soon as he saw Sports Channel 8 back. He said, jump on, guys. So great to have everybody. Big weekend of sports. Let's start out by going around the room and saying what we learned this weekend. Moose, you want to start? Another UNC?
Yeah.
What'd you learn this weekend?
This weekend, Perm, I learned that NC State baseball's home opener is February 18th at 3 p.m. versus Evansville. And I know this because 5 minutes into the basketball game against UNC on Saturday, I immediately looked to the next sports season as this one is over. It was as pathetic a moment too big for you, pissing down your leg effort as you're going to see out of the Wolfpack. Lost from the word go. Baseball starts up February 18th.
All right, well, then I got to go straight to Josh Goodson, who didn't need to look that far in the future when he knew the next day his savior was coming. Goodson, what you learn this weekend, as I see in your background, what else did you learn besides that the NC State women are still the dominant team in the Triangle?
Well, I'd like to I hope that I can go on Nothing But Net later tonight and tell about my story of being an American Wolfpacker, someone who, from America, enjoys NC State and just the biggest fan.
I didn't even catch what that was a reference to it. For those who didn't see, there's a guy named British Tar Heel who came. He's been a huge UNC fan. Came from.
He didn't go to UNC fan.
Who cares?
That's the first qualification.
Don't give the backstory. Hey, let me tell you something about me. I live in Durham, North Carolina, but you know what? I'm a fan of Liverpool Football Club. Oh my God! Oh my God! Get me on Sky Sports. Get me on every English network and talk about how somebody in North Carolina can overcome Americanness and be a fan of a team in a different country.
By the way, there's nothing fun about being like a British Tar Heel. Oh, you picked the most recognizable college basketball program in the history of the sport. It'd be a lot cooler if he was like British Boston College Eagle and like was in Chestnut Hill for a weekend to go see BC just because that was his team. Get out of here with this guy.
You guys just sound just. He was a nice guy. I met him, but it was funny.
Of course you did. Of course you met him.
I was sitting a couple rows behind him. He showed it. Then there was like a News and Observer article that he was on the ACC network.
He's a media whore.
I will say you guys are anti-UNC guys, but I will say for the UNC fans out there, the true international UNC follow, and I forget the guy's name. He doesn't claim to be Ukrainian Tar Heel. He's just a guy named, I think it's like Miroslav or something. And he's just a huge hoops fan. And he tweets about it. And he happens to be a UNC fan. I dare say, I think even you guys would kind of like this guy.
Nah.
He's a Ukrainian hoops fan. And he just, right. The thing I learned this weekend is that
I learned two things. I learned that playing golf at 38 degrees and 30 mile per hour sustained winds at the beach is too cold for golf.
Okay. There was literally like snow on the fairways you were hitting into. Was that just for a camera show, or were you guys actually?
No, it snowed that morning, but most of the snow was gone by the time we teed off and such around 12 or 12:30. So that's number one thing I learned. And number two thing I learned is I don't get the issue. NC State got a quad one win yesterday on the road at Carmichael Auditorium. And let me say this. If Roy Williams hated State so much and loved UNC so much, why isn't he at the women's game pepping them up? Think about it. And why was a British Tar Heel there? If he's such a big UNC fan, are they sexist? Is British Tar Heel and Roy Williams sexist?
And Michael Jordan, throw him in.
And Michael Jordan.
I mean, was Sylvia Hatchell there, or is she still on house arrest?
Swain, what did you learn this weekend?
I learned that I guess the Carolina Hurricanes like to honor fictional teams because, as we discussed on Twitter and TikTok and all of the other places that you can find Sports Channel 8, the Hartford Whalers are not a real hockey team. You know, this dates back to the Mighty Ducks when they needed two teams to play, and they can't use NHL teams because Disney, I mean, they don't have enough money to contract in with the NHL to bring that into the video, I mean, into the movie. So they had the Minnesota North Stars, which I guess they couldn't use the Dallas Stars, right?
Yeah.
So they used the Minnesota North Stars, and then the Hartford Whalers. And as you brought up, they also talk about the Whalers in Mallrats. So yeah, the Hartford Whalers, fictional hockey team, never existed, and it was pretty cool that the Carolina Hurricanes honored them on Friday night.
It's very cool. It's something that, again, it was made up for a movie, and now like the Canes team has kind of developed this whole backstory of the Whalers. My favorite are the like fans who live up in like Connecticut who play along and pretend like they're mad that the Whalers are down here. It's become a cool thing, and I could see a time when people who aren't of a certain age and like weren't around start to believe that the Whalers were actually a team just because all this backstory, the throwback jerseys and stuff. If you haven't seen it, again, we were talking about it on Twitter. I sort of put all the information together, threw it into TikTok. That's right. Sports Channel 8's on TikTok at Channel 8 Sports. You can check it out there, and it's a lot of fun. So the thing that I learned this weekend is that apparently James Worthy and Sam Perkins are more big time than Michael Jordan. Like, how do you get MJ to show up at a game and Worthy and Perkins don't even come? Like, the North Carolina Sports Hall of Fame has a rule where, like, even if you get technically elected to the Hall of Fame, you're not getting in unless you show up for the induction ceremony. That's how they kind of like make sure they get their money. Is like, hey, you got to come to the thing so we can sell some tickets. Jordan was like the one guy they made an exception for. They went to him, but Worthy and Perkins don't show up. So, all right, other things from the weekend. Moose, Goodson, do you guys want to talk about the game Saturday at all, or you just want to talk about Sunday?
No. I personally have not been like the Keats needs to be fired.
That's a good question.
Bandwagon. Like I haven't, because it sounds silly, but they lost their best player to injury. That's a big deal.
Who was that?
Manny Bates is injured.
Oh. When did he go out?
And actually, Debbie Yao got on Twitter this weekend, I think, and because she hired Keats whenever I'm too old to be on the text. It's funny. So Debbie Yao got on there and basically said, like, no, she's been in some meetings with parents before, recruits who said that the NCAA issue that State was going through was an issue in recruiting, blah, blah, blah. So he's had some weird circumstances. I'm not going to question that in terms of like COVID years and guys one and done, or not even none and dones, the Jalen McHugh effect and stuff like that. But you can't come out the day before your biggest rivalry game in a year that's nothing. So like your only thing to really like fight for now is probably 2 games a year. And he made the comment of something like, yeah, I know it's a big deal, but like, you can ask the players. I don't think they consider it as big of a deal as the fans do, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yo, dude, if you were 18-4 and you were going over there and playing and you were going to make the NCAA tournament and you were fighting for a 1 seed, cool. You can say those things. If you're, what are they now, 10-12, last in the ACC, and they go over there and just get obliterated in a game that most state fans kind of just everyone expected that to happen, right? None of us were sitting here being like, no, stop. There was no one sitting out there who was thinking like, yeah, this is going to be a close game. It just had the writing on the wall. And I don't know. I don't think he will be fired unless they just lose out, which maybe I'm kind of hoping that they lose out because
his comment was
– it was not a good look on Saturday. It was very, very, very embarrassing against a UNC team that I think – against BC, they scored 58 points in the game, and they had 56 at halftime in this game.
Yeah,
like didn't even show up. It's bad.
His comment was, "I can't win this game and lose all the other ones and be okay." And my thought was, why don't you try? I mean, maybe it's a thought this year, to give it a whirl. But
like the year, I think what is it? The years that whenever Les Robinson was the coach, and I wasn't old enough to really remember it, but state teams stunk. UNC teams were good, but they would like beat UNC like at least once a year, just like randomly show up and win, and then that's all you can hang your hat on. But now it's like you're not saying the right things, bud, and you're losing a lot of people. Wednesday night at 9:00 against Syracuse in PSC Arena, there might be 5,000 people there.
You're probably able to sit on the bench.
Interesting, and if I meant to play this last week, but we don't know exactly what's going through Kevin Keaton's head, but we do know that he might be listening to Sports Channel 8, the streaming show. Check out this video from last week. Oh, hold on. Wait, come on. Yeah.
Hit shots, it turns out that you win games. So that's kind of what happens with this group. If they're shooting the ball well, they're going to win.
And obviously when we have success is when we're able to shoot the basketball. We didn't shoot it particularly well. When you look at it, we only made 6 of them. We didn't have a great night shooting the ball, and they did. And I think that was the biggest difference.
I think, and honestly, if we're talking about just like X's and O's of basketball games, like it's not a good look whenever you're literally hoping that the reason you win is because you shoot better than the other team. Like Duke is not thinking that. Duke's going to have nights where they're 35% from the field, but they find a way to win, and you don't have to just always shoot a higher percentage than the other team. And if that's kind of like our game plan of like, God, man, if we just make more than the other team, we're going to win. Like that ain't a recipe to be really good in basketball a lot. So
Deuce said it was.
Yeah.
And Deuce is really smart about basketball. So I think that the biggest thing that I took from the State Carolina game was being able to listen to the game on the radio, right? Because we had hockey this weekend, and so I didn't get to see any of the game. And what I learned, and maybe this goes back to the what did you learn this weekend? I learned from Gary Hahn how many 3-pointers UNC players had hit prior to the state game, and then how many they hit during the state game. And it was incredible. And they come back from commercial, and Gary Hahn's like, yeah, Brady Manick has 4 3-pointers. He has 12 on the season, and he's got 4 tonight. Whatever. Leaky Black hasn't hit a shot the entire season, and he's hit 17 3-pointers tonight. Just that exasperation of, these guys are just having a career night, and there's a reason that people have career nights against you, and it comes out of defense. But yeah, listening to the analysis of that game was absolutely incredible because
I don't have Gary Hahn's full like resume up, but I just Google searched him, so it's on the GoPack website because he started at NC State in the 91 season. So he like literally started.
He's only seen the bad.
He's only seen the bad. And what's crazy about it, as I'm looking, it says before coming to NC State, he worked on statewide radio sports networks for Louisville, Ohio State, and Alabama. Like, how could he have not like stayed on with those people to see like, I don't know, awesomeness forever and ever? Like Gary Hahn. Whenever he hangs it up, which who knows when that's going to be, he has seen all bad. Like he literally has seen all bad in both like major sports that count. That guy has got a story to tell. I think at some point.
All the school specific broadcasts have some homerism in them. Like I'm not saying that one does it and the other one doesn't. They've all got different versions. Bob Harris used to be great about like mixing it in as if it were like regular play-by-play. My favorite would be like Hansbrough goes baseline, does the Tyler two-step, no call, and he puts it in. Like yes, he traveled.
Wouldn't Bob Harris also say that it's like Duke never committed a foul; they always drew a foul. Or something like that. Like
he would change the language, but his tone would sound like I'm just calling a game. Like Hansbrough the Tyler two-step, as if that was like a thing that everyone called, right? But really, Hahn. Exasperated Hahn is just the best. When you can see, I think of the gif of the guy that's like knocking stuff off his desk and like F this, F that. Like that's Hahn calling a game. Like, oh, what now? Brady Manick has hit 5 threes, unbelievable. And Manick actually is a pretty good 3-pointer. But then, and this was one I think you hit the Slack thread about it, and I was watching the game on delay, and I was like, man,
the change call.
I wish I was hearing this on radio because sometimes you'll see the change call where like 2 refs blow the whistle, 1 points, the other was like, wait a minute, it's an immediate. This was like he called it, and everybody went to go do the inbounds, and then somebody came up and was like, I think it might be the other way. And I didn't hear it, but I could only imagine Gary Hahn going like, well, apparently you could just change calls now.
Here's exactly what was said. He's, ball goes out of bounds to the Wolfpack. No, it looks like they're changing the call. Who's the other guy that's on with Gary Hahn?
Tony Haynes.
Okay, Tony Haynes goes, how do you even do that? And Gary Hahn says, well, when you're 10 ballots on, you can do whatever you want. So matter of fact, it was unbelievable. It was so
exasperation is so good. The last thing I want to say on this is, Bruce, you mentioned earlier, Debbie Howe jumping on and getting into the Kevin Keats discussion, and she dropped one little nugget I thought was interesting. She goes, I only had one hire that I regretted in my time there, but she didn't say who it was. Like, is she definitely talking about Gottfried or somebody that like lost for?
She's talking about the Gott man, and like I dispute that. The Gottfried years were good for the most. I mean,
absolutely.
Sweet 16,
the best hire she's made.
Sweet 16s. I don't know. Perm. We always talk about the state side of things a lot. As a UNC guy, what do you take away from this? Or is this? Does it feel like 2017, 93, 2005?
Here's the thing for me as a UNC fan. Seriously, even when they've sucked, the whole UNC fans have always been like, dude, Roy, even though he scores 80 points a game or whatever, he lives in the past. He lives off Dean's, 1975 playbook that didn't include the 3-point line.
And academic things as well.
There's like one guy on the floor that can shoot the ball, at all times, and they defend the 3-pointer as if it's like, well, occasionally the other team will attempt a 3, but really we want to guard the post more than anything. It's like, dude, wake up, live in the now, right? So the whole year I've been like, I don't know how good they're going to be, but they shoot a lot of threes. They shoot like 40%. This is fun. This is like evolution of the game. Like, why? And so on a night like that where all your threes are going in, it's like this gives you the opportunity to sometimes no, you're never going to shoot 66% from 3, but in a half you could see somebody go 10 for 15, and like that gives you a huge advantage. So even when they were bad, I'm like, I don't know, they're shooting a lot of threes and they're shooting them pretty well. I'm not that mad that at least their style seems to have evolved a little bit. So
Duke UNC week. I'm going to ask you this every show we have. Who's going to win?
We got 2 more shows to get into that.
Yeah, you got to answer today, and it could change Wednesday and Friday. I don't care, but
I do want to throw in one Duke Carolina thing because from our, win at Gary Hahn, you win at Bob Harris. Obviously, didn't mention Jones Angel because he's a freaking saint. Let's talk about Jones Angel getting all in his feelings about people calling Duke players by their first names and then Carolina players by their last names.
It's like 5 years old. Why are you bringing up old beef?
No, it's unbelievable. That is the most hilarious thing to get sensitive about. But it does make sense coming from someone that doesn't have a first name that that they would never, feel like it's okay to call. But seriously, like UNC, anybody complaining about someone else getting favorable treatment in the media, in the press, or whatever, is absolutely rich. And you've seen it this week. We joked about British Tar Heel, but that became the story of the entire weekend was, hey, this person likes UNC, so let's make him a freaking national hero. It's so transparent. It's so transparent.
Before we move on from hoops, actually, I do want to talk Duke Louisville a little bit, but this.
Are you sure? You sure?
Yeah,
It's okay to talk about Duke?
We got like 3 seconds. But I got this video file that dropped just before the show. It was during the
break. Muddy the Mudcat, and a handful of local. During the break, Muddy the Mudcat. During the break, Muddy the Mudcat, and a handful of local mascots getting after each other.
Who's that?
As only they can here at Carmichael Arena.
Mudcat's got some game.
On a Sunday. Here we go. I see you. Oh, I see you.
That's my line. You can't take my line, Mudcat.
Man got it done. Just unbelievable. All right, a couple things. First of all,
I see there was no Down East Wood Duck there to probably steal the ball or block the shot.
The Down East Wood Duck could never ball like that. Like he wanted none of Muddy the Mudcat's smoke. All right, to answer your question. So first of all, I don't know how. I never knew. I've worked with Muddy for 8 years now or something. Had no idea that he could ball like that. But Swain, ask your question because I think I've got an answer for you.
The ACC tournament, fine, whatever, you got enough. But anytime you have a mascot game at like a local game, you have to have 5-on-5.
Yeah.
There are not 10 mascots in existence. Right? So we've got to have like these dudes just show up in some kind of crazy outfit to round out the mascot game. Who the hell are those guys?
Wooly Bull was there, Muddy the Mudcat, Ramses was there, getting nutmegged on his birthday, by the way. No sympathy from Muddy on Ramsey's birthday. But yes, a little known fact is there like several companies have mascots that you may not have even known about that only come out for like other mascots' birthday party. Like they'll try and have Muddy's birthday party or Wooly Bull's birthday party, and they invite all the other mascots. And you might get like Mr. or Mrs. Wolf or Ramses or the Devil or whatever. But then you get like 6 or 7. Like, first of all, not only do I not know who that is, but I don't even know what that is. Where was the one? Hold on.
Celebratory dance.
This one right here. The one.
What is that?
What is that? Is that the Syracuse Oranges like disowned child? Like, what is this guy with the number 2319 on the back?
USA Baseball has a mascot. Come on, USA Baseball does not have a mascot.
We got a peanut. We got you. Wait, that's just Baldwin the Eagle wearing a baseball uniform for USA Baseball. That is a bunch of crap. But
I would think that maybe UNC Dental School would have a mascot out there with all the money that they've pumped into the program.
So like, I'm surprised we don't see the Mako Shark. He's been around for a while, and I think he just got a new upgrade. Mako Shark is driving a new car the past couple of years.
Well, COVID.
That's what I mean. The Mako Shark. He's been doing all the testing in your area, and Mako Shark is swimming in green right now. I'm surprised he wasn't out there, but he might have better things to do.
They don't let COVID testing on UNC campus.
Get out of here. Yeah, Duke played, I thought, the perfect game. They duked Louisville early. We're way better than you. Then they did oh, wait, it's at Louisville, and you guys are going through a coaching change. You need an emotional run. Like, all right, we'll do that too. I think he got the 60 all. And, Louisville was like playing 2 levels above where they were. And then Duke was like, nah, we're better. They went on a 12-0 run, and I don't think it got within 10 after that. Did Coach K feel like we couldn't blow them out after Denny Crum actually gave me a gift?
It was the perfect wrestling match, right? Where like the heel comes out and just absolutely dominates the match, and then the face, the hometown hero has the comeback, and everybody's all into it, and then hit with a steel chair, and then it's over with, and everybody's mad, and it brings people out to the next game. So no, that's exactly what happened. It's exactly what happened in that game. But no, let's talk about this. And I wish BG was on the show today because this is something that's got to stop. The player gets hit with the second foul in the first half and is no longer allowed to play basketball. That's got to stop everywhere, right? Yeah. Like, Duke was up 14, 15 points. Mark Williams gets a second foul, goes to the bench, and then Louisville dominates on the offensive glass while he's out for the next 8-9 minutes, and they cut it to 5 at the half. Coaches have to stop doing that.
Like that game would have been over. Like the value of keeping him in, of essentially making the game irrelevant at halftime versus taking him out. So now you have a game by preserving 1 foul is
Right.
I
Like
think
I said, Mark Williams fouls out 6 minutes into the second half with Duke up 27 points.
it's fine.
Okay.
Well, he's a Duke player. He's not going to foul out. So that's the other thing that Coach K isn't really
Well,
figuring.
there is some psychology in that, though, of like the refs know they've given 2 to a guy. And they're like, oh, we don't want to give him a third. Like, to your point, Swain, like put the pressure on the other team and the refs to like make it. But
It's like, how many times have you seen a team it's everybody will look at it. There's 13 minutes to go in the first half, and they've got 16 fouls, right? So the common thinking then is like, you just got to take it to the basket on every possession and just make the refs, get into the bonus. And it never really works out like that because the refs kind of know you can't.
Yeah, the refs don't want to get to 18 foul calls.
Unless you're playing Duke.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean.
But I feel like the conventional wisdom used to be if you get 3 in the first half, you have to sit. And now that's evolved to, well, if you get 2, we don't want you to get the third, so you have to sit. So we'll just sit you. And it's like, wait a minute,
it doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense at all. No, but I think the significant thing for Duke in that game is that the game changed when Louisville tried to take it to a really physical, like chippy place, and it almost snapped Duke out of whatever they were going through. And it was, there was a 3-minute run where they blocked 2 dunks. And then AJ Griffin comes down and hits threes on the other end, and then Mark Williams dunks on a guy, and it was like, oh, okay, you want to play that way? We'll play that way, and that was probably not the right thing for Louisville.
There's some sweet blocks.
How fast into tonight's? Because Duke plays on the road tonight at Notre Dame. How far into the post game presser will Coach K mention that they played 2 road games on a Saturday, Monday, back to back? Like, will it be within the first?
They got a third one, yeah. No, I think I saw something this week where I think during the course of his career, it's like 7 times that K has played 3 road games in a row, and I think he's only gone 3-0 once out of those 7 times. So I'm sure it'll get mentioned. Yes.
Also, all right, this is more a question for Moose. First of all, is Keel? When's Keels back, Swain?
Probably not tonight. Probably the UNC game.
I need him to be out a little bit further because am I crazy on this, Goodson? Does Duke have the patent on key player goes down for like a long stretch and then like, oh my God, we're better now and we get him back? That like I think Carlos Boozer.
What do you mean does Duke have the patent on that? UNC spent a season with Cole Anthony out and basically was saying that.
This is a Duke thing from Carlos Boozer back in the day. It's usually a big man of like, oh my God, they've learned to play.
Well, there was they had it. They had a little bit with the Kyrie, when Kyrie was out, and
Duke owns the like. Oh my God! Now
I understand. Literally two seasons ago, Cole Anthony was out, and it was a Cole Anthony watch every game. And if he came back, they were just going to win out.
No, UNC sucked, and they weren't getting better without Cole Anthony. That's the whole thing about Duke. It's like, they get better without the dude. It's like, imagine what happens when they add this guy back to the mix. It's like Ultron, like that. I feel like Keels needs to sit out a little bit further to gin up that narrative. To like,
are you going Saturday night?
Nah, I don't think. I mean, as a UNC fan, there's always a chance that somebody will offer you good tickets, like the day of the game. Actually, speaking of which, I know y'all don't care about this, but like the UNC State game this weekend was the annual like. Every season ticket holder actually went to their game. Like it was State. It was a 2:00 game. Everybody took their kid to the first game. Saturday, not MLK weekend because we were skiing then, and not spring break coming up. It was and
it's State. You're going to win. So
But like it was the highest amount of season tickets that were actually used by the season ticket holder this weekend. Was you.
Herm, are you going button down cardigan today? And you had the pea coat on earlier. Are you dressed like that so that people think you're British and might give you a ticket to the game on Saturday? Is that?
I think you should start your American Liverpool fan, and maybe you will get honored. Swain, get out of here. Deloach complaining. No ECU Peach will talk yet. Sorry, that's coming up. That's like
what? Tell me what that is. What's ECU?
That's a good State. It's like a good State ECU fan thing of like you could go sit at any bar right now in Greenville, North Carolina on January 31st, 2022. And like within 10 minutes, somehow it will talk about the 1992 Peach Bowl that ECU beat NC State. There will be a conversation pop up within 10 minutes.
Fantastic. All right, a couple other things I wanted to get to. This was another one that came late, right before the. Oh shoot! Now I've lost it. Well, I won't have the screenshot for it. But did you see there's a journalist in the Triad, Ethan Joyce, who was talking about having a baby and asking for baby advice. And most of it was like random people just giving random advice. But Steve Forbes from Wake Forest, by the way, we don't have to talk about Wake Forest this week because they got blown out by Syracuse. So this will be our Wake Forest talk. His response was, do a bad job putting on diapers, and then you'll never have to do it again. Is that good advice? Swain, I heard a rumor that you were not the biggest diaper putter on her.
Yeah, I was not, but I never went that route because you're playing with fire there. Because not putting on a diaper well has significant ramifications too. And it could either be, you know what, you're never gonna have to do this again, or you're gonna have to clean all of this up because you. So I do not recommend that. And I'm also assuming that this journalist had the baby just for the content.
Probably. Forbes is going to get dragged for being the sexist, like, mess it up so your wife will do it. But, like, this is a little bit what we want from – this is, like, good old Twitter when, like, coaches would actually, like, interact, like the NBA model. Speaking of which, we had the Wake Forest AD throwing some shade at Josh Goodson this weekend. And maybe not shade, but you want to get the backstory there, Goodson? Tell what happened when John Curry stepped in on your Twitter page?
Yeah. Who got fired? No, Supreme Court Justice, which I've never heard of that guy. That guy didn't exist. Like that guy. No, had he ever done anything memorable?
Was he the Hartford Whalers of the Supreme Court?
He's like the Phoenix Coyotes of the Supreme Court.
Stephen Breyer, that was actually just made up. So there's really only 3 Supreme Court justices who make up characters.
No, he announced his retirement, so I just put out on Twitter like an idea that Dave Clawson should become the next Supreme Court justice, which I float Dave Clawson's names a lot of times. I actually floated it this morning again.
You want him out of Wake Forest as football coach. That's the running gag that people, if they just see one, don't really get. They think you're actually making a nomination. You're like, no, just any job that isn't Wake Forest or somewhere else in the Atlantic, go take it.
But John Curry said that no, he kind of chimed back and said he's very qualified, but not a candidate for that. But he might be a candidate. Did you see this morning the news?
Michigan.
John Harbaugh, like there's actually now reports that he's going to go to one of the NFL jobs that are open.
Not the Panthers. Let's be clear. Not
open.
Maybe Matt Rule to Michigan.
A straight up trade. I would take that.
Yeah. Or Dave Clawson.
Dave Clawson to Michigan, Matt Rule to Wake Forest would be the ideal situation.
Yes.
Since we're talking NFL, I mean, you guys just stumbled into this. I thought we'd at least mention that we have
the NFL. We're talking about Matt Rule.
No, I heard something about Harbaugh going to an NFL team. That was just enough of an opening for me to mention that we have a Super Bowl. We got to be good. You're Bengals fans, right? Don't we have a couple?
Whoa. We're just going to pretend like the Pro Bowl doesn't exist?
Bengals.
Skip over? No, you can't do this. Is like skipping Thanksgiving and going to Christmas. You have to celebrate the Pro Bowl. If you're going to be NFL guy, we got to break down the Pro Bowl before we get to the Super Bowl.
Did I miss a greatest game in the history of NFL yesterday again?
You did. It was a good comeback. The Bengals came back from 18 points down against the unbeatable Chiefs. Took him down. Your boy B.J. Hill had a fat guy.
B.J. Hill, I think Jermaine Pratt, but then our boy Von Miller's going to be on the other side. So it's kind of sportsmanlike divided on that.
Did anybody see? I guess
Bengals Rams is kind of a gross game, right?
A little bit. The tough part was anybody from the NFC I felt like was going to make it great. It's better than Bengals Niners. Like the Chiefs were obviously like, all right, that's the established team now. They're the fun team. Let's get them in the Super Bowl. But then the Bengals kind of came along and it was like, all right, I would take the Bengals. They seem fun. They've got the receiver that everybody knows is going to throw to, and we still throw it to him, and he still catches it and does cool things. Like, I like that part. But so anybody from the AFC, it seemed like we were going to be fun with. Both those NFC teams were not very fun. But so we got like not the worst, but maybe the second worst matchup, I feel like. I don't know. But did you see the report that Matthew Stafford, the Panthers basically thought they had a done deal with Matthew Stafford last year? And he was like, no, I'm not going with the Panthers. Forget this. I thought it's like now we think of it as a job that offensive coordinator or a situation that offensive coordinators and possibly free agents or other people are avoiding because they don't want to damage their long-term future. But like Matt Stafford Saudi, like even ahead of time, he's like, nah, I don't. I'd rather go to a team that can actually compete. That's the other question. Do you know any Bengals fans?
No.
I will say, shout out.
I think most people kind of lean towards the Go-Go's, right? If you're going to go with an all-female rock group, I think you stay away from the Bengals and you kind of lean towards the Go-Go's.
I lean towards whichever team Susanna Hoffs is on. That's what team I live. I was always Bengals over Go-Go's.
Really, walk like an Egyptian is your like crown jewel.
No, I watched that video the other day and it was a little cringy with everybody walking around going like this. But Eternal Flame, though. I mean, I'll go.
That song's trash.
Here's right now. No, close your eyes. Give me your hand. All right, we got plenty. We got 2 weeks to talk NFL, so we'll definitely get back to the Super Bowl at some point. Try to think of anything else I saw. Did you guys catch this? I saw this in the Triangle Business Journal. Raleigh and Durham gauge interest for public drinking districts. Apparently, North Carolina has changed law now to if you want to adopt like a Beale Street in Memphis or, those other places where it's like a downtown venue and they make it full-time permanently or maybe like weekend only, where it's just an open-air drinking district. And Durham sounds like they're ahead of the game organizing it for, and Raleigh's sort of, behind. But
Moose, how has Joko been dealing with that for forever?
Do you remember the days of being in college and being like seriously terrified that a cop would like walk up to you on the street and be like, "You drinking a beer?" and like the one guy in your crowd that didn't have it to rank up, you're like, "Dude, what are you doing? You're gonna ruin it for everybody. Like, put it away." Like, hasn't it kind of been legal already?
Yeah, I'm in youth hockey, so everything is an open air drinking district. Like, no, you got to drop off your kids at least an hour before the game, right, so that they can warm up and get dressed and all that stuff. And the parents have nothing to do, right? So tailgating at Junior Canes games is on par with tailgating at Carolina Hurricanes games because of that reason. And if any cops are listening to this, do not ever go by a parking lot of a hockey rink. Don't stay out, right? But yeah, the tailgates are pretty intense, and so yeah, I'm in favor of it. It's fun. There's nothing more fun than walking around outside with beer and.
I like the comment of the guy. Isn't that just a porch?
Yeah, this is more like downtown areas, like open, districts. But
What's the difference between a porch and a deck?
What's the difference between a porch and a stoop? Like it's on the front. What's the difference between a front porch and a stoop?
Yeah, I think a stoop is when you get north of Virginia.
That's exactly right. It's a stoop. And below that is a porch. Anything else you guys want to hit on? Did anybody watch Gemstones last night? Anybody want to get a grade of the episode 1 to 10?
Did you watch
it? I'm the only one on this show that watched it last night, so I will not spoil it for anybody. But I don't know, how do we feel just in general? How do we feel about flashback episodes of shows? We good with like the 10 years earlier episode? I'm good with it every now and then.
Yeah, you can't lean on it too much as a crutch. I started watching the show Euphoria. Have you guys seen this? There's a lot of flashback. Like the main character is on drugs. That's not like a spoiler. I think they come out of the gate like telling you that. That's kind of like the theme of the show. So there's all kinds of like flashbacks and like mixing into each other. It's like one scene you see a glimpse of the flashback, and then the next episode they're like, all right, let me give you the full what happened in that flashback scene. It's weird and hard to keep up with and very intense. But I found out one of the main characters went to Broughton School of the Arts. She's I should know the correct pronouns to use. This person plays a transvestite in the show and is a transvestite.
So the actor, not the character.
Excuse me, transgender. But the actor went to Broughton. Yes. Okay. And it's a transgender woman playing a transgender woman in the show.
I would absolutely, if the character went to Broughton and they did a flashback, I would absolutely watch that. That's part of the best part of that, like the Gemstones flashbacks, because they were in, a Charlotte mall. And again, it's like,
yes,
the Citadel Mall in Charleston, but it's made up to look like an old mall in Charlotte, and it's fun seeing stuff like that.
I got two things that we can touch on.
All right.
Number one, Rafael Nadal. Did anybody watch that real time?
I did. I watched basically the Nadal half of that match in real time because I didn't get up at 3:30, but when I woke up at like 6, Nadal was just turning the tide.
We're supposed to have like
where each of us brings something that's like a "Did you watch that?" and it's something that absolutely no one else watched. We like talk about that thing so that no one else knows what we're talking about.
I watched it, but I watched.
Do we have to have is he the best ever? Is that is that what we're supposed to do?
He's never. People had already determined we're not going to decide best ever by the number of majors because they thought Djokovic was going to get it. So they had already decided like we're not going on highest number of majors because I'm not just giving it to Djokovic. Even before all the other like basically, I feel like tennis purists want to just say Fed's the best of all time, and it used to be easy when it looked like he was going to end up with the most, and then all of a sudden Nadal and Djokovic were catching him. Nadal's are easier to discount because you're like. It's like 19 French Opens and then 2 other ones, right? Djokovic is like legit
more well-rounded
and might actually be the best player of all time. But again, tennis purists decided it's not going to matter the number of majors of Grand Slams where it's going to Federer regardless. But I think
it may be discounted because if you win a major and the other 2 aren't there, like at the tournament. You could maybe discount that a little bit.
No, that's true too. But I forgetting the greatest, I think
it's like Virginia winning when they won their national title. Like it doesn't count. It doesn't count when your Final Four has like Purdue and Auburn in it or whatever.
Let me ask this: should more sports have different surfaces? Like if your home football field is clay instead of grass, should more sports go to that?
I don't hate it. I mean, almost like the baseball argument of like. There's certain, just like in tennis, the court has to be certain things that have to be uniform, but some things change. Like in baseball, you have to have certain things that are uniform, but distance of your wall or random spots, like I kind of dig that. Somebody said, should you be able to draw your 3-point line wherever you want it as like a home court advantage? Like I mean, you're getting gimmicky, but like as somebody who just like enjoys the entertainment, I'm like, I don't hate it. Like Golden State Warriors, are you? And if you're a good 3-point shooting team, are you drawing it further back or closer in? I don't know. But I thought that's a similar vein question of like, should as a home team, there's a field, you can put it somewhere between 20 feet and 27 feet. Yeah. But like, yeah, can you
the minimum distance is this, but then you can dolphins you play in a wave pool. Yeah.
Like play in 6 inches of water, like play in like that. Interesting. Throwback comments. All right, what was the other thing you wanted to? Oh, hold on. I will say this though. Watching Nadal versus Medvedev, Nadal. If you didn't know he played tennis, but saw him walking down the street, you'd be like, "Oh man, that guy's an athlete. Maybe he's a European soccer player, or maybe something else." Medvedev looks like just partly the way he dresses. He does not look like he's an athlete. He's like too skinny. He doesn't really walk that athletically. I think serves the hell out of the ball, super fast, whatever. But it's just the classic, like, dude who you know is an athlete playing dude who you would not guess is an athlete unless you saw him win the tournament. What was your other one, Goodson?
U.S. soccer.
Nope.
Didn't they? Did I see they lost? Okay, 2 questions. They lost to Canada. How does that happen? And are we out of the World Cup now? And do we stink again?
No, Canada's got some players, and the game was being played in Canada.
Why aren't they on our team? Why didn't we do the thing that a lot of other people do and be like,
just bring them in?
You can
be on the American team.
Your dual citizenship, just play with us type deal. And it's not so much an American thing. It's Canada's not going to win anything on their own. Like, we're not going to win anything on our own. We have to take all these dual citizens and such.
No, I'll point out a couple of things. One, Canada, because of their COVID restrictions, got to pick and choose which players the United States took to play in that game. Second, USA is still going to qualify. The top 3 get in, and they're pretty solidly in the top 3. I think the next round of games, I think if they win one game, they're probably mathematically in, but they're definitely going to qualify. And they're still very much going to win. So we're good.
Win the World Cup?
Yeah.
All right. Bold claim. Moose, anything else? Moose, your predictions, I guess, were pretty close, but the snow.
They were right.
No.
We got more snow in Myrtle Beach than there was in Raleigh.
Nope.
It's going to be 70 on Thursday and then snowing again this weekend, Moose. Is that correct?
No snow this weekend. No. No.
Are we done
there's no snow sticker up here.
Is the snow done?
Are we done with snow?
No, I'm not going to say we're done yet.
We got all
I
of
got,
February.
I got my eye on a few things.
It's not even February. We got to have like that random.
Could y'all seriously? Could y'all be done with snow?
Yes.
I'd like one more good weekend.
Yeah.
The last weekend was perfect. It was basically gone by. I know they canceled school Monday, but basically it was there all day Saturday, and then basically gone Sunday and totally gone Monday. It was a perfect snow.
I want
What do you
February
gauge it
to
on?
be
Like
brutal.
when and how often you can sled? Is that all you care about?
Sledding's the number one thing.
If we could make February just brutal from a winter weather point of view, and then March 1st, it's 70 degrees and
Oh,
sunny.
that's true. If we never had to deal with any random 40-degree March or April weekends, I'd be fine with a crappy February, and then let's get the Sir Walter Wale to not see a shadow or whatever it is.
And so here's my closing question. So Duke Louisville this past weekend before the game, Denny Crum was there, which was awesome. They presented Coach K with a personalized Louisville Slugger and a personalized bottle of Maker's Mark, both of which are incredible. I'm a little disappointed that K didn't walk up and down the sidelines with the bat during the game. But Mark Williams is definitely not getting that second foul early if he's just carrying the bat around.
I want the bat and the liquor, like pouring it into the cups going down too. Yeah.
My question is, what does Notre Dame do to top that?
We had
what can they do?
We had somebody
bottle of Guinness, maybe.
Guinness.
That was going on in the. Could they put his face on touchdown Jesus? For a year, they should just change touchdown Jesus to Coach K. No, I'm not sure what you. Brian Kelly's not there anymore. I thought he'd give him a free ride in his cherry picker. But I don't know. I don't know what the Notre Dame would probably give him like 2 tickets to the Duke Notre Dame football game because to them that would be like the ultimate gift. We're giving you Notre Dame season tickets next season, like something that like this is the greatest gift we could ever give. Notre Dame,
they're on StubHub the next day.
We won't hit it anymore, but like it came out last week, and I feel like this is going to be a thing that gets talked about all this week. We'll hit it more on Wednesday or Friday.
Well, no, are you talking about how UNC's already announced they're not doing anything?
Giftgate. Like, is this I don't know if this should be a big story or not, but it's going to be a story. So we need to figure out a take on it of whatever it is. But Giftgate is going to be a discussion on Wednesday.
What was it that they basically just announced that they're not doing anything special from like a pregame setting for honoring Coach K. Is that right?
Yeah, and to be fair, I don't think they came out with a release unsolicited and said.
No, I think they did. I literally saw every UNC beat writer. I'm not joking. I saw that Saturday morning. Even it came out the same time that it was announced that the 82 team and Roy were going to be.
But I think there was a press conference Friday afternoon. Somebody said, "Are y'all going to do anything for K?" And they said, "We don't have anything planned." I don't think they put a press. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they put in a press release like, "Just to let you know, we're not doing anything for K." I thought it was answering a question directed at them, but I could be wrong. I don't know. So, but it's going to be talked about. So. Yeah. We'll talk about it on Wednesday or Friday.
I remember the game in Cameron after Dean Smith passed away, and there was a movement among the Duke students that everybody was going to have like the navy blue shirt with like the Gothic, but it said Dean instead of Duke, and all the students had that shirt on. And there was one student that made his own shirt that said "Dead" instead of Dean. Wow, just god awful, but. Nothing like it's don't ever do that. That's not good. But nothing was funnier than seeing a wall of students with Dean shirts and then one in the middle of it that was just slightly different. Terrible.
You said it was god awful, Swain, but I'm not sure if you actually believe that.
I do believe that was god awful. You can't ever be happy that someone's like, you gotta pay respect to the legends of the game, which I'm sure UNC fans and Jones Angel will probably spend a lot of time on his broadcast.
Adam Lucas has already prepared his column about it.
We'll talk about Duke UNC more on Wednesday. We'll play the game show and on Friday. Make sure you hit up Josh Goodson and Movement Mortgage right now. And we mentioned at the beginning of the show, it's a good day to get a good deal on your mortgage. So hit him up. You can find him on Twitter, Facebook, or anywhere else. Not at American Wolfpacker. Find him at Josh. 4, another UNC 3, Whalers Truther, and American Wolfpacker. Again, we'll be back here Wednesday, 10 o'clock, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You can listen on Tobacco's Road Sports Radio. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, We're not on Instagram for the show, but you can follow us on Instagram. We're putting stuff up there now. Hit us up at TikTok. 10 a.m. Lynn Cornegie. 10 a.m. We crank it up on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. So please continue to jump in. And this will drop as a podcast a little bit after the show. I hate listening to podcasts and radio shows where they have to tell you all the places to reach you, but then you do one, you're like, oh, you actually got to do this. So
people ask us all the the time, like, we're going to listen to it.
True.
It's right there. You told them.
Subscribe to the podcast. It's on Apple, Spotify. I don't think I don't think Neil Young has insisted we come off Spotify yet.
No, Neil Young is fine with us being on Spotify.
All right, good. So check us out.
What did we not have Courtney Bankhart on the show today, Perm?
I thought about it. If they had won, she was coming. Join us Wednesday. We'll talk some more and we'll play the game show. The Crew, Sports Channel 8. Oh, let me get. Oh, well, why not just give him this one just for fun? Oh, dang it.
Oh, he a cat boy.
I know there's people who tuned in that just wanted that. So, for the Crew, we are almost out, but I'm on the wrong screen. And there, let's go. Thanks to everybody who commented. Lim, Michael, Jake, Andrew.
Kyle. I love Kyle's comment that you did not post.
Joe DeLoach, posted all of them that I saw.
What was it?
Nope.
Nope. You'll have to find out. Kyle's comment. It's on YouTube.
Sports, for the teams you love and the teams you love to hate. Sports Channel 8. Sports Channel 8.
We mentioned Sylvia Hatchell killing somebody. We mentioned Brian Kelly killing somebody, and then we mentioned being the second person that Boeheim has killed on the
when Jim Boeheim does retire, Sylvia